All right, we back. I think we might be back. Hold on. Getting the setup. Hello, yeah, we back. Hello, hello. All right. Let me get everything back and set up. Oh my god. I tried to add Caleb's camera into OBS and it just freaked out on me. So hopefully we can get this back and work. Okay, there we go. All right, hello everyone. This is what happens whenever we try to go off script a little bit. All right, let's get back in here. Talk to these goobers.
Yeah, I worked with
Hello.
I worked with him for a while, trying to help him figure out the Thunder list that he brought. I ended up playing.
He sat down against me and said, "Yeah, I'm not playing Warp Up. I refuse to play that card."
We're back.
Valid.
Hello.
Welcome back.
We got everything working. Man, I hate YouTube.
Dude. I love YouTube. It's so awesome.
It's like I hate that. Well, in the best way possible, because I know it has to do this. It has to host everything, in like a new window, or not window, in a new like instance. I guess is the right way of putting it.
Yeah, yeah.
So I can't actually do like anything fun with it.
It's cringe. It is very cringe.
Yeah, I think what's really funny is that as a YouTuber, I also hate YouTube. Stand this platform, man.
2 streams a day. True, absolutely.
2 streams a day is crazy. Swole's putting in work for y'all.
Yeah, the Josh levels of work here on the Lestronauts channel. All right. So the Dan list being bait. What parts of this do you guys think are real?
I'm praying that what appears to be Hurricane in the back row are real. That's what I care about. I want it's the viral tweet. I want that twink dead. That's me with Hurricane.
Oh god.
I want that win dead.
I'm gonna hold until the stream has been live for at least 45 minutes. So before I crash out. Yeah, that's how I'm gonna do.
Hey, we've already had one crash out today.
Base.
Yeah, I'm holding the crash out until a reasonable amount of time has passed. Apparently, you're dropping frames like crazy, Swole.
Yeah, that tracks. We have that scans.
That scan.
That's still just an OBS thing. Rough. All right. Well. Let me try to do this again.
Surely it will be fine.
Surely.
Trust. YouTube will figure it out. They're known for doing things well, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, should I just talk about my Banlist wish list, bro? I put a wish list in our chat yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that, and I honestly, I need you to justify this shit to me. Some of this, I was like, huh?
All of it. I will justify every part of it. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna put it out there, and I know everyone's gonna get upsetty spaghetti and shit. People are saying stream is not good. Damn. Is it a YouTube problem or an OBS problem, Soul?
I think it's an OBS problem. Give me.
We can troubleshoot. What's your bit rate at that you're streaming at right now?
8,000.
Oh, drop it to like 3.
To 3 bits?
3,000.
Oh.
Yeah. Typically you can never do above 6,000 anyway, so going please hold. Yeah, try giving it a reboot. I think you'll be good.
All right, how about now? Are we did the stream die officially?
It went down and back up.
Okay. Okay, so I did that.
Are we chat?
We're
hold?
good.
Hold?
Oh,
Are
no
we
way.
saved?
We're here.
Is Swole the GOAT the greatest to ever do it?
He is. Oh, look at that man move.
Woo,
Well,
let's
whatever
go.
Hail Mary he did, we're good. Okay, chat. We are good. We are back. We are in. And now I get to hit you guys with my ban list wish list. And I need everyone to not say anything until I am done. Okay?
I can't promise anything.
So ban. I'm talking cards that are gone forever. Banned. I'm talking Shield of Achilles. I'm talking Lycavoid Champion. And I'm talking, and I know this one's controversial, I'm talking Wingen. Okay? Those are my 3 bans. Would you like to argue with me, Swolax and Caleb? I can justify all 3 of these easily.
Wingen.
Yeah, Wingin's the one that is ridiculous.
I can justify this one. So the Wingen ban, right? The Wingen ban, the idea behind it is that in the game of Elestrals, I am of the opinion that there is no turn 1 combo that your opponent can do that upon them resolving that turn 1 combo, you are immediately feeling as though you are out of the game entirely. Other than, and I think the only 2 turn 1 combos that make you feel like you are out of the game turn 1 is if some, like, you know, some Blizz player hits big and ends on like Asprowl or Blizz double Cedar Sword turn 1, you kind of feel like you're out of the game. Or Wingen plus some means of stacking your top deck, be it the Apollo, be it the First Light or something like that. The moment you have that combo resolving against you, if your Tornation opponent is not stupid, they are using the Tornation to search for a card that lets you protect your Tornation. And then at which point, you are not able to clear it for a turn, at which point on their next turn, they can use it again to get so far ahead in the game that it is damn near impossible to come back unless you sack them by specifically drawing Earthquake Resting. Because ain't nobody main decking Cryoblast in this format. Ain't no fucking way. Genuinely. So if you look at the amount of advantage you gain, you go Apollo, you get a guy +1. Even if you don't, you get to go Wingen, add any of the 3 cards off the top of your deck. So congratulations, you've resolved Astrabbit. And then on top of that, you summon a big bungus 8 guy that then on top of that gets you an additional card. And it's also a preemptive ban because realistically speaking, every single time a new card that gets released that foretells that combo, that turn 1 combo just gets infinitely more broken each time.
Mm-hmm.
That's my logic behind it. Do I think that the deck is broken right now and needs to get hit? Oh my god, Tornation's a problem? No. But do I think it's unhealthy that there is a turn 1 combo in the game that makes your opponent feel as though they are out of the game frame 1 on the very first turn? Yes, I think that's unhealthy.
I feel like I can see the justification, but I've never struggled that hard against Tornation. So
Yeah. Have you ever cast Eddie?
No, look at this way. If your Wingen opponent, if your Tornation opponent goes Shield PTA fucking Golden Fleece, Eddie doesn't out.
Yeah.
You have to draw Earthquake Resting, 2 1-ofs. No one's maining Cryoblast. Cryoblast is not something that I'm letting people say, oh, but you should Cryoblast it. Yeah, sure. Game 2 and 3 you can Cryoblast it. Game 1, no one's main decking Cryoblast. So Galaxy Champ is your only response if they didn't get the Fleece, which I genuinely believe that you have to get Fleece in that deck. Like in that deck, you have to play a Fleece for it.
I think the one point where I agree with you potentially is if something like Hurricane goes, all of a sudden, with Tornation being able to search the protection for itself makes it way stronger. So if which in your list, not to spoil it, you do have Hurricane involved here. I think that does
there is Hurricane involved here. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Lycavoid champ ban, I think no one's really going to argue on this one. I think OG Lycavoid is a skill testing card and interesting. And I think because it's a skill testing card and interesting, we shouldn't remove the ability to play the OG Werepup package. I think new Lycavoid is just stupid.
It's also a common, or it's a non-hollow, so like no one's gonna cry over a non-hollow getting.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were saying like Werp up to 1 or something, but like I just think I really like the OG Werp up package. I think it's a very fun package and skill testing package, and I would hate to see that package go because of new Lycavoid personally.
Yeah.
And then I did say shield ban. And I know everyone's gonna be like, what? Huh?
Why that over PTA? Because I agree with one of the two going.
So my problem with the shield ban specifically is that shield is a god card when both players are on below 5 spirits. It's like insane. The amount of times where you are able to play around certain things in a late game scenario, you know, you could play around the PTA because, oh, I can maybe make a 2-drop, my opponent won't have enough spirits to pay off of from spirit deck or some bullshit like that, or whatever, to kill it or something like that, or like if they pay out to kill it, then they're put on 0 or something like that. But the thing with shield is like specifically the problem with shield is like in a late game scenario, sometimes you have to Hail Mary, this is my last guy, and the only thing that makes you insta lose the game is like, haha, I have the shield, you no longer have spirits to play the game. And it's just like, it's a game-ending card. I think early to mid-game, the card's fine. I think the moment players start getting to low spirits, it's the most egregious back row in the game. Well, apparently you're muted. You're muted, apparently.
Classic. Same as last time. Hello, Nairos, by the way. Hello. And JJ, hello. So
yeah, it's just a strat to get engagement in chat. Hell yeah.
There you go. You should mute again, actually.
if you think about it. So like the thing about it is that like one at chat, you're gonna love this one. I agreed with you finally. That non-target removal, yada yada. And the second part is that like I think in those scenarios where late game it is a game ender is kind of fine, because like I don't know, the cost that you also have to like measure is that if you do have enough spirits, effectively you have to have at least minimum 2 to activate if you have like a 1 guy. But it's also the way to like out those larger Elestrals. And it's not necessarily like true removal like something like PTA is. And so like it's frustrating to deal with in a scenario where you're like, okay, this is my last attempt at trying to win and I have like 1 or 2 spirits left and I have to play a guy, and if they shield this I lose on the spot because they have an Elestral. But like,
yeah, you have no idea the amount of times like I'll be in a late game scenario, my opponent's like thinking on what to do to win the game, and I just like show my face down shield and I go, if you can't beat this, we should go next. And more like 99% of the time they go, yeah, shield is the one that beats me, and they just scoop it up, you know?
Yeah, I don't know, because like to me, I think that's PTA for me. I think the early game is so much more important than like a late game held shield, because even PTA on that level is kind of like shield if you're like, you know, late game PTA, but early game PTA is so much more egregious in terms of tempo. And like we kind of saw that with the finals with Trish and Bo, where it's like, you know, go spark it, set PTA, Trish is behind by like leaps and bounds.
Everything.
Right? I actually disagree with this. The first thing that you said about the non-targeting, I'll address that point first.
Yeah.
Have you read every new card A-Drive has been designing? Dog, nothing targets in this game anymore. It's insane. Like literally every new card that's being released doesn't fucking target. Every single one, they do not target. It's nuts. And the thing with PTA, in my opinion, nothing target. Bro, have you seen the new Sonic Core that he was playing at the locals on the did you see that card, the new Sonic Core?
Yeah, is that a generalization for every single one though?
Bro, it just feels like every new card that comes out that like pops a thing doesn't target. You know, Blizz didn't target. Does Chronodile target? I don't think it does. Does Kerberos target? I also don't think it does. I don't know.
What's the last one you said?
I said Kerberos. Oh, do we?
Yes, both.
New Sonic Core. Well, I can talk about new Sonic Core. He played it at the tournament.
Novacore.
Oh, it's Novacore. It's Novacore. Yeah, the solar guy. It's all the same dude. It's Nova.
Just
Novacore,
Nexus form.
the new Novacore. Yeah, it's the new Novacore, bro. That shit's nuts.
Sick.
If you guys don't know, he was playing it at the locals that happened the day before the Atlanta Open happened. So what the new Novacore does, is it's a 2-drop. You can just drop that motherfucker if you control the solar stadium. You can just drop it like it's a lith. And if you cast it that way, you just get to non-targeting pop a guy. Like,
that sounds sick.
Broken. It's broken. It's insane. Like, what the hell?
When are we getting Tornation and Winjin champion of Helios, by the way? I'm calling that now. Side of chat, making the public statement.
It's gonna happen.
I agree with Ari here that Sonicore and Novacore look a lot alike.
That's kind of fucked up that you'd say that.
I'm not saying that all cores look alike.
That's look to you,
but
are you? That's
not every core, but it's always a core.
Hashtag Swollax is over party.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
When's Aqua Core? Where is
also,
Aqua Core?
just saying, it's noon and 1 minute. I'm just putting that out. So we might have Banlist incoming.
Yeah.
Time to refresh the page.
So
aggressively.
I agree with something that I think Purple Pancake Kelly brought up, where it's like, if you lose to a shield in that scenario, you're probably already losing anyways, right? Like, you already lost tempo so much that like you were already behind. But like, I think
I don't agree.
Because like in that scenario, if there wasn't shield there, do you still win? Maybe not. But like, that is definitely
let's say your opponent just has a guy, 2 spirits. You have like 2 spirits left. You cast a guy that walks over their guy. You swing. They go shield. You lose. It's GG's.
Yeah, I mean,
but you're both on, and they drop to 0, but because they have a guy on board, they win.
Yeah,
if it's gaze, they don't win there. If your guy's bigger,
Yeah, it's again that I think that also just speaks to the tempo problem with like Elestrals. It's not that problem's like
the thing that you said about the PTA, the early game PTA. I think early game PTA offers more counterplay because if you think your opponent has PTA in the early game, a lot of times you can cast a guy that you feel is okay for them to PTA. Sometimes they'll PTA it, maybe they don't, but the thing is, holding a PTA is just bad in general. Like, there are so many games where you hold a PTA for 1 turn and then they summon another guy and you're like, this also doesn't feel like a good PTA. Hold a PTA for that turn as well. And then you're just like, at that point, you've let your opponent establish some things that felt like suboptimal PTAs, but then you never get a good PTA for the rest of the game. And that offers counterplay to that card. But in a late game scenario, there is 0 counterplay to a Shield of Achilles. And that's where my issue is. I like counterplay.
I don't know. On the PTA point specifically, it's like, I think that the problem I have with like the PTA being that like it's bad to hold / you can play like the counterplay around is you just play a guy that's better into PTA is true. There's so many times more often than not in especially early game where it doesn't make sense to play a guy that would quote unquote still win to PTA. And those Elestrals are still pretty infrequent too. Like Sorlet, Eddie, and like, oh god, like those are the only 2 I can think of top of my head that don't immediately like lose. Like a Rabbit, if you go second, play Rabbit and that gets PTA'd nowadays, it's not too bad, but you're still like losing a lot of value there. But like there's very infrequent times where that actually like would make sense. The only time I think that this is the maybe the argument for not banning PTA is that eventually we'll get to the point where you can just turbo out into an insane body turn, like turn 1 or turn 2, like if you're going second. And so the PTA is like hyper mandatory. But Shield, I think, still does the same thing because you're oftentimes still attacking with those bodies, right? I don't know. That's kind of a weird roundabout argument that doesn't really fix the issue.
I don't disagree with you. I just think, because I think that a lot of the back row, and like on my list here, I do put PTA and Gorgon's Gaze to a lower number than 3. The one that feels egregious to me specifically is the shield due to how much more powerful it is than every other trap in this game in a late game scenario. That's the only reason why. And like, it's okay for people to disagree. I think that it's a subjective thing for sure. That's just where I would put it at, because I think, and again, all these hits that I'm putting on this list of like, yeah, lower the counter rune count and stuff, is with the understanding that they would release counter runes that are good but not as powerful or as game defining. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying, because realistically, if on the ban list that we get today, they put shield PTA gaze to 1, I think this game is unplayable because we just don't have counter runes to play. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's my belief there.
Well, I
So
mean,
again, it's
the
just-
nice part
I think
is.
Okay. No, go ahead.
So the nice part is that's what's happening, because you see the emojis. Dan is actually banning all. We're playing nothing but the monsoons and Siroccos from now on.
Hell yeah. I think dude, I'm gonna be so real. I think those wins cards had like a legitimate opportunity to be like just a counter rune suite that would feel nice to play. I just think the only problem with it is that if they were all like kind of good, then wind OP forever. Like,
true. I mean, when's that format?
yeah.
Bag of Wins format, where you're encouraged to play the Siroccos, etc., or you have to play at least one of them.
Bag of Wins format. Oh my god.
Bag format. Bag format. There we
Yeah.
go.
So those are my 3 bans. I know people disagree with the Winjin. The whole thing is that I don't want this game to ever feel like Yu-Gi-Oh! And I feel like Apollo Winjin is a 2-card combo that gives you Yu-Gi-Oh! Levels of, oh, I have lost this game on turn 1, you know? And I'm just like, I would rather avoid that. Lycavoid ban, I think, is obvious. And then the shield ban, I think everyone has differing opinions on the counter runes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, on my list here, I put Gorgon's Gaze to 1. And the logic for why I put Gorgon's Gaze to 1 is I'm applying old school Yu-Gi-Oh! Logic to it, which is that I'm specifically advocating for all of the counter runes to kind of get lowered and stuff like that.
What do you mean list
1
out?
second, I'm getting a message.
What do you mean list out? Oh, there it is. Whoa! Spoilers.
Bet.
Fuck. Sorry for the kids at home. Okay, we're sending Lycavoid to Tartarus. That's the first.
Oh my god. Can you screen share, Swole? Can you screen share?
Yeah. Let me
Bless.
It's
Don't
out.
implode.
Big.
All right, huge. Hopefully, no imploding. Okay.
Danless!
Lock the freak in.
All right, lock in, send it. What do we got?
I'm
Run
expecting
it.
Marcus Brownlee and Fortnite. That reference is too old for y'all.
Oh, okay.
Artemis to Tartarus.
Oh!
Sort of.
Don't say that.
I can't hear the stream. I cannot hear it.
Can you? What is the?
You have to share the window. You have to share the window, not your screen. I don't know.
all right. Hold on. I share the window.
Yeah.
What do you mean the window?
You have to share your browser. Like, you have to, when you go screen share, you have to share the browser application.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's what this is.
Oh, well then I don't hear nothing.
Right click on me and see if you have my sound muted.
I do not have it muted.
I got it at 200% actually.
Hell yeah. I also have it at 200%.
Oh, here we go. Try this.
Banned and restricted list.
Oh, yeah.
I hear it.
For
Let's go.
Elestrals TCG.
All right.
This list will be
What do we
effective
got?
on July 29th when Elestrals clash.
So he said Lycavoid banned.
If you've not wished
kind
to
of.
Elestrals clash, you definitely should do so. And
Kind
get
of.
excited as players around the world.
Are we getting a
Restricted
Lycavoid
play
errata,
Elestrals
bro?
free from
Escape
the
from
comfort of
Tartarus
home.
Lycavoid?
Every card
Yo.
is free. It's going to be incredible. We've got this awesome list here to shake up the metagame just in time for that. And this new ban and limited list will be active for the
Ban
August
list.
2nd premiere event
Ooh.
as well as the duration
Huge.
and remainder of the Firestorm.
Ban list.
Can't wait to play.
After extensive
Dan
testing
list?
from our ban team and
Dan
taking
list.
feedback from the top players in the game, we've ultimately
Daniel
made some decisions to limit a
Isterson?
handful of
The
cards
top
in the metagame
players?
to create a
Bro,
more
did they
diverse
consult
play experience,
Swolax?
reduce fatigue from strategies,
They
and
must
ultimately make
have at the
Elestrals
end.
better for it. It's worth noting that any card
Hell,
that
the
is
video
added to
volume is
main
low,
or
Swole.
ban list may come off of it in the
I think it's
future.
because
We're
my
always testing
here.
different strategies and ideas to create the best play experience at the highest levels of competitive
How's
play
that?
for all players.
You guys
All I
might be
cares about
loud.
is ears, bro.
Limiting to one copy, effective July 29th. is
Limiting to one?
Hurricane. Hurricane was originally
Yeah.
introduced to the game.
Okay.
Kid is there. Yeah.
Let's
Fuck
go.
yeah, bro.
That back row to ultimately
Fuck
so
that
happy about
card, man. Skillless
Holy
ass
shit.
bullshit card.
It also creates non-interaction points where players don't have any opportunity to make any moves.
Yeah, bro, skillless card. Me when I say zero interaction allowed.
Cards that's fun to use when you're the one using it, but it feels terrible when you get blown back and your entire rune row is destroyed, and then your opponent sets up some crazy combo. And you have
This
no
card's fine if there's monster effect quick effects, but there are none in this game, bro.
We're not
Broken.
Yugi, unfortunately. I'm down for Hurricane 1. Is it just means that, like, Hurricane will basically only be playable in exactly decks that are already running both two of the 3 Spirit type?
Findes through the roof, by the way.
You know, here's what's gonna be crazy. I think Hurricane is now going to be played in every single deck,
Yeah. Well,
provided you're already playing 1 to 2 of those
Yeah,
spirits.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
think that
it's
that's
the
reasonable.
earthquake.
Like everyone's already playing water. Everyone plays water, you know.
Cards like Thunderstorm are going to see a lot more play.
That's
and
the,
because of that,
what is
players
it,
are gonna
like
need
the
to be able
Vanity's
to account
emptiness
for that
problem?
by setting
Yeah.
multiple
I do
backrows.
like-
And if you Hurricane me moving forward, I will call a judge. Just saying.
Judge, check them deck.
I don't know if I like
Check
this that
him
much.
deck list.
Video's really low. Yeah, the video volume is all the way up, and it's also all the way up
Oh,
in
who
OBS.
cares? Who cares if the video's low? Hurricane to 1. Woo, pog. Can I get a pog?
Oh!
Yes!
Oh my god.
Removal is dead. Crab rave.
Full potential hasn't been met
What?
up until Hephaestus
This is-
and the
this is-
artifact
this is targeted.
in Firestorm,
Oh.
allowing
Well,
it to unleash
technically.
its full power. and
I
become
think
one
this
of
is
the most
reasonable
dominant
because
decks
they have
in
links at
the
1. I mean, this game is gonna end up devolving to Power Cards Turbo, but like Kinlio's kind of crazy. Kinlio kind of insane.
Kinlio was fine. It's fine. Whatever.
And Stoke the Forge to minimize the
Hey,
impact.
chat, anyone
just
wanna buy?
won
Anyone wanna
unopened. What are you
buy
talking
Stellar
about?
Kinlios?
Yeah, I got 3.
Kinlio literally just won an open. What are we talking about?
No, this
I
is
want to be so
fine.
real though. They need to find some way to hit like final card. Let me guess. Moralith. Yeah.
We-
Yeah.
I think that this-
Okay.
We have
The writing was on the wall.
Okay.
So is this the
Blizzy
final?
Wizzy
this
is
the final
crying.
limited?
Someone called Blizz. Final limited. Yeah.
Okay, so we.
So if it's 0 bans and this is all the limits, I'm gonna crash out.
We've got 9 minutes left for something, unless the rest of it's just a big Clash promo.
Yeah, 6 minutes.
Flash promo, and don't forget to pre-purchase your fucking live stream cards and all that shit. I'm sorry, if this is it, I'm crashing out, bro. Like it's gonna be generational crash out.
You know, I'm okay with Kinlio limit because I only have
Headphone
one. I only have only one signed Kinlio by 0, anyways.
Josh went
True,
and
this is
so
true.
we were like, oh wait, that's a thing. And his combination of utilizing Mountains of Boreas alongside Brumalinks to increase the power level.
I mean, yeah,
Brumalinks on
Moralith crazy. Now you know what's crazy here, right? It's like now you cannot shield a Moralith because that's the only way they get to Moralith you again. Just putting that out there.
Coastalith is not necessarily a comeback mechanic. It can be generated.
Coastalith
very
broken.
advantageously
Yeah. Coastalith's crazy.
playing pieces like Morphrost,
I can't believe
Lycanthrope,
Coastalith
I can't believe they're limiting.
and then resolve Morlith's casting.
Yeah, limiting Coastalith.
Self-mill is a strategy that has a
Lycanthrope
good amount
to
of
1
support
makes
coming
sense,
in
yeah.
upcoming sets, and I think that if Morlith stays at 3 copies, it would become way too overwhelming for players to deal with.
I love how Dan calls it self-mill because anytime he has this belief that when people say I want a mill deck, he thinks people mean I want to mill my opponent.
It's funny because like,
That's correct though. That is, most games do perceive it that way.
Crazy. This is wild.
I like.
Now
how
I
the
want to Lightsworn.
I like how the idea is that like this is not a limit / a hit to Blizz. It's a limit / hit to the future stuff for quote unquote the self mill. I don't. Why don't we just ban it then?
I do agree. I actually
Oh,
I
they don't
think
like
that
banning cards. They don't know how to
I
ban
think that
cards.
all 3 of
Like,
these maybe should have been banned. I think Kinlio maybe not. I think that Hurricane and Morlith maybe should have been banned instead of limits.
Yeah.
And they
Also,
might end up
Well,
needing to
Logan has
be
a couple of
anyway,
removal strategies.
depending on, especially if they're set. This is future proofing.
I think I understand why why Hurricane went to 1, right? Because if they ban Hurricane, banning Hurricane means that you're putting the game back into the scenario it was in, where turn 1 you're just allowed to go set 4, and you have every counter route ever to stop whatever your opponent does. As opposed to if you have Hurricane in the game, but it's at a lower number, then it tells people that they still need to basically still play around it. So you're still not setting 4,
Yeah. It's like the resting thing, right? Like when resting went to 1, you still technically played around resting, because it was that big of a blowout. I guess now you don't have to worry about a second, like the second hurricane hitting the building is actually the thing that strikes the towers, and it's like it's like the Arcolith hit. It's the second Arcolith that gets you. The first one you can out, the first one you can usually deal with. But now your Arcolith has to be the last thing you play. So this Hurricane has to ensure like, hey, you're winning this turn. And then we get more or less. All right, what's left?
Coming sets, and by giving a little bit more room to breathe for those other Elestrals and cards, we should see more diverse strategies coming out of the Frost element. I think all three of these changes will be a very positive change to the metagame, allowing players to explore new options.
This is it. There's no way it's it, right? There's no way.
Well, so
okay, Dan, tell me about bans. What are we banning? What are we killing? Murder some stuff.
We have Morolith. We have the middle emojis have all been so far something.
Oh, they're banning all the bears. Shit, we're cooked.
No, true.
I think specifically with the launch of Clash as well, this should give a better new player experience for anyone trying a
We're semi-limiting the Firestorm Viscerus.
Lycavoid, champion of Artemis, was going to be banned and sent to Tartarus, and that is indeed true. We are indeed banning Lycavoid, champion of Artemis. This was a card that we tested extensively with various combinations on how to solve the splashability.
This card's so broken, man.
Overwhelming nature of swarming the field.
No, my tournament pack stellars. No.
From your opponent. The 6/5 stat line proves to be very challenging for players to deal with, and it's all the werepups that hit the field that can turbo into various ascensions. They become very overwhelming.
What's the butt, Dan?
Ultimately, will generally.
What's the butt?
That creates an unfun.
Show me your butt.
He's gonna errata it. He's gonna go. Here's the Escape from Tartarus version.
He's like limiting werepup to 1 copy, or even banning Full Moon. But ultimately, the decision to ban Lycavoid champion.
What, we're gonna have
no shot. You ban Full Moon. Come on now.
Solution for how we're handling this card than really any other card that we've approached in the past. Now, Elestrals has done functional erratas in the past, and we've also done Escape from Tartarus versions of Elestrals to kind of reimagine some of our.
Oh, where's this going?
However, in this case, we are going to be using an errata for Lycavoid, champion of Artemis, to tweak its effects slightly to bring it more in line with the competitive metagame and the desires of our players. Lycavoid, champion of Artemis, will be on the ban list from July 29th until Livestream releases. However, it will come off the ban list when Livestream releases with a brand new errata text that will be featured in the Artemis starter deck, as well as a new printing in Shattered Stars.
Interesting. So what do we think it does? What do we think it does?
So this is weird, right? Because like it's like the Zeus limit that we saw before post Dallas or like pre Dallas.
Yeah.
But the weird part about this is that one, the Artemis starter deck that they're releasing, it means that this has been in the tank for a while, right? Because that probably already went to production as far as like that stuff goes. Because
okay. So realistically, there's no way that it's been in the tank that long. Because, well, I mean, maybe because that would mean because this card hasn't been out that long.
Well, because Livestream proofs and all that stuff already went to the U.S. manufacturer. So unless that's the turnaround, is like they are like, yeah, we can get this for you like ASAP Rocky. The other part of it is that
hasn't been produced,
right? Okay,
they were good, yeah.
Well, yeah, it hasn't. I'm not saying it hasn't been printed yet. What I'm saying is that like those assets and those like things have already been sent over to the manufacturer. I'm assuming because that turnaround time for
they may not have been.
What's October for Kisame? That's 3 months.
Not been printed yet. Okay, then if it hasn't been printed yet, then yeah, there's a very real world. This was not in the tank that long.
Yeah, that's interesting.
End of September is pre-release, and so if there's like a month window to get it shipped out,
which would make sense for
they probably have all of August to print.
Man, yeah, shout out to USA, I guess.
Yeah, the USA makes a world of difference.
Simply change the condition where Lycavoid can cast any number of werepup.
Special cast a werepup. A werepup is the new thing.
If that's the only change, this is broken.
Oh no, for each suppressed card your opponent controls.
Oh, this card's ass. Ass. No, there's no way that's real.
Interesting. Full screen this. I mean, you know, that's the neat
still
part.
A 6/5 as opposed to old Lycavoid. All
right, so here's the new one.
Still a 6/5 is crazy.
6/5 I think is fine.
What are the stats on the old one? 6/2?
6/5. Or the Moonrise one? Yeah, 6/2.
I think they took a card that was broken and they made it really bad.
Okay, so this is the weird part, right? Is that like in theory, the idea is that this better aligns with the champ werepup, in which that your opponent already has a suppressed Elestral, and thus you bring out this one, and then this a Lycavoid brings out another werepup, because your
They would
opponent
have
has two, right? Yeah. So that two. The new werepup has to have two.
Yeah, the new werepup, I believe, ascend condition is your opponent controls 2.
Oh, okay. So yeah,
every single card that says suppress like that run needs your opponent to have 2. Like,
yeah.
It makes it like it's that like Necrolith is just dog shit because of that exact restriction stuff. I feel like this card is just like kind of ass. I'm not gonna lie.
It's bad, but I can't hate it. I like it. I like Avoid. I like the idea. I don't have to deal with it. No one's playing dense
because
fog.
realistically, where are you going with this? Right. This means that let's say you turn 1 werepup on turn 3. If you have Artemis, you can. Oh, you know what the cool play is? Let me tell you the cool play, bro. You go normal werepup, get the full moon. Then on turn 3, you normal spect. You go battle, you swing with spect, and you battle step, resolve spect, then still in battle step, full moon, ascend Lycavoid. Lycavoid triggers to summon a werepup from deck. That's kind of sick.
That would be kind of cute. I think that the real shit for this is in a lunar deck, or something like a Pharaohgeist deck. Werepup is a 1-card resolve a Pharaohgeist, resolve a Posthumous, like that type of shit. Because you can still just turn 1 werepup, your opponent swings at it, and you go, okay, cool, battle step, ascend. I now have a 6/5 that becomes a 3-drop next turn. I can also do it to set up any sort of like anything that just has 1 lunar in the cost. That also lets you set up for that, because you can do the stupid like misenchant stuff. You could do a enchant with full moon to then make it a 4 spirit when you ascend. There's a bunch of stuff you can do there, I think, that I still think this is solid, but it is not the house that the original effect.
Does dense fog negate or suppress lunar Elestrals or no?
No.
Non-lunar enchanted?
Yeah, it's tsunami but suppressing.
Yeah,
interesting.
Here's the play I think with this realistically. And by the tone of my voice, you guys can already tell this is just literal bullshit. But you go Toxiri.
Oh my god!
You search dense fog. You next turn, if your Toxiri doesn't die because you had to protect it because for whatever reason a 4, you go new werepup, and then draw phase. You do that dense fog, and then now because your opponent already had to have 2 or something. So it just becomes like a bad Arcalith. This is so funny to me because I think I like this idea. It doesn't kill the card inside of the suppression deck if in the future suppression becomes a lot more common. The problem with this card at the moment is that getting like the ability to, like, let's say you werepup, you full moon, you go into this Lycavoid, you have to have dense fog, or like you already have had to have Artemis the turn previously, so it just kind of slows the pace of the combo down. And then or in the future, if there's a card that's like your opponent's cards, or like it's like a stadium rune. Imagine like a stadium rune that says like all cards or cards on your opponent's side of the field are suppressed, or non-lunar enchanted cards are suppressed. Like it's like a dense fog title.
I mean, this is kind of crazy with the new what's his name, the fucking Posthumous champ that got like leaked, right?
Posthumous champ. Oh, the Fonlit, right?
It's the one that got leaked on the like the distributor side or some shit, right?
Yeah, I think that's the baby. That's Tiny Baby, the 2/5.
No, but they also the leak also had the Posthumous, which like just suppresses the whole board, like all your opponent's guys.
Oh, but you have to like get there though.
Yeah. But I think the big thing,
and then also Lycavoid.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be real. I think the big thing specifically about this card is that this card is right now. I'm gonna say I think this card, if they made the change today, they were like today this card has this text now moving forward. I think the card would be unplayed. It would not be played at all. And I think we should have to wait to see what all the Artemis support is that we're getting in the live stream starter deck to see whether or not it will be played moving forward. But as of right now, it's kind of ass, which I'm down for. I mean, it was neither that or they ban it.
Think about it like this: Lycavoid was a really, really big card in Moonrise, and it was a 6/2 that was a Nexus bank.
Yeah, but it's unaffected by counter runes. Like, at least you can, like, is that card guarantees that you get value? Like, bro, the amount of times where you can go, all right, I'm gonna swing with my werepup, and if they have a shield, they have to shield a fucking werepup and leave you with the full moon face down for you to just do it again next turn. Whereas something like this, you know, if you swing with a werepup, they'll go, yeah, that's fine, and then you go, I'm gonna ascend into this Lycavoid with my full moon, and then they shield that, and then this Lycavoid rots in your hand for the remainder of the game. You know, it's just.
We're banning shield, so it's fine. But like, this is the
true ban shield.
I think this one also incentivizes the other Lycavoid more, right? So you're still able to.
The other Lycavoid is better. And the other unless you are playing specifically a deck that is able to suppress your opponent's shit, old Lycavoid is better.
Yeah, I don't know though. Again, I'm trying to think of like the future proof shenanigans. We are probably getting titled forms dense fogs to make Toxiri champs like in Toxiri champs and Night Venom champ on some level, because there's no way you can print a card that says discard a dense fog and then discard 2. So I imagine that's like this card plays a bigger role in a deck like that, where it's like you're suppressing a lot often, and there's a better payoff.
Hey, yo, pause. Hold up. People in chat pissing me off. Dude, don't be telling us, finish the video, talk about it later. We're having a conversation. Sit your ass the fuck down and wait. Or if you want to go watch the video, go watch the damn video, bro. We're yapping. What do you mean? This is what we do. We're conversing about what's happening.
We do have
chill.
We do have 3
My
minutes
God.
left, but
yeah, like we'll get to it. Chill. Like I hate chatters that tell me what to do. Like, I'm sorry, we're doing our thing. You know,
we are prime yappers, and to be fair, and this is big.
Yeah,
this is big. This is kind of the thing, is that yes, like we are yapping about this, but outside of all of these, a Moralith like limit, a Kinleo limit, like this is not only new, it's also like the biggest pain point for so many people, right? Like this is the #1 card people have had on their ban list since the format started. Yeah. Like before Firestorm.
I think when people first read Lycavoid, they were like, "This card is a problem and will most likely need some kind of hit." You know?
Yeah, like yes, we are yapping this a lot, but this is huge. Not only the implication, but the fact that like from the next tournament in a week from now. This you can't play this card, right? It's banned. But when it comes back on out, what does that look like? This is a very interesting errata as well, because it's also like we're not getting a Tartarus form of it, which is fine. Like a third titled Lycavoid would be hilarious.
Double title.
Lycavoid, the champion of Artemis, escaped from Tartarus.
Dude, that's bars. That's Eminem bars. Champion Artemis escaped from the Tartars.
Strack brings up a good point though. Unless PNM this weekend, Joseph did say there might be one in July still, so maybe. If not, then this is the problem with PNMs, man. The free NMs are the greatest locals of all time. You have every top player in the world playing inside of this tournament. However, half the time the format's real, half the time the format's not. And I love the PNM. They're sick. But like last time the
PNMs are wild because PNMs are riddled with a ton of insane players that all pull up pet decking. It's awesome.
It's true. It's awesome. I love Barrowbog Top.
It's my favorite like online local with crazy pricing. But that being said, again, in theory the ban list won't be in effect for that, because it's July 29th, so it'd have to be in effect next Monday. So
I mean, Joseph can always say PNM new list lol.
True. That's also true.
Would be the first time.
Yeah. It's anyways, but yeah, this Lycavoid neutered. It ain't doing shit right now.
Yeah, it's a reasonable errata. The errata clearly makes it, function in a way that is intended to work with how they wanted new Werepup to be played and stuff like that. Like you can see where the inspiration comes from for this new text on the card. I think 2 things can be said about this. I think one thing that can be said about this, and might sound a little bit disrespectful, but to all the testers, please, for the love of God, look at the difference that was made on this card. This is something that should have been caught in testing, and the card should have almost guaranteed to have been printed with this text, and the fact that it got through testing with the old text is kind of insane. So just, look at that and go, maybe we look to make cards like this a little bit more in the future. And then I also think that this card isn't going to do a whole ton until we see the new Artemis support. So yeah.
Yeah, it's weird, right? Because I think the old Lycavoid engines still we now have 3 Lycavoid engines. The errated one, Firestorm Prime, and then old Lycavoid. Old Lycavoid is sick because it's like the with the Lycavoid Prime.
Sorry, Gabe is fucking. That's the funniest chat message I think I've ever read.
Tell you what to do. Don't tell me what to do.
What to do, but
don't
preach.
fucking tell me what. Well, actually, that guy spitting. We should watch the rest of the 3 minutes in complete silence. I think.
Yeah. If we were on Twitch, someone mod that guy. VIP.
Someone VIP him.
Someone gift a sub. Like,
gift him a channel membership.
So there's like so sick.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good thing. Let's write this back in. All right, so 3 minutes. Let's
it's in complete silence.
We'll
Total silence.
Yeah.
All right, let's check this out.
Blinders on, boys.
Say that Lycavoid can only cast werepubs up to the number of suppressed cards.
All right, Dan. Now just say. Also, we're banning more cards. XDD.
Change because I think it brings it more in line with what Werepup Champion of Artemis is trying to do and what Artemis as a strategy as a whole is trying to do. And this will allow players to continue to explore splashing.
Ban shield. Ban shield. Ban shield. Come on. Ban shield. Come
what
on.
happened to silence? Hello.
Oh no, you're right. My bad. I'm muting.
Focus within that archetype. Players will
he
still
did
be
it. Wow.
able to use their Firestorm or
Baited.
Stellar
We can
Rare
talk,
Tournament
or
pack
can't.
Lycavoids, but they'll need to refer to the updated errata text.
Don't tell me what to do.
No. I'm really excited to hear your feedback to this approach, so please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As I said, we have done erratas for cards in the past that did slightly change their functional effects. This is probably the most extreme case of this, and I wanted to try it out because, again, we were introducing the card again through livestream starter decks. And it was
There's no shot that's it, right?
It's also being introduced in Shattered Stars with a very, very cool artwork that I want you guys to be able to enjoy. But ultimately, this is a great card that has a lot of space in the game. I think it's just came a little too early in the metagame.
There's no way, right?
Some bad taste in people's mouths with it being overwhelming to play against. By switching it to the suppression-focused strategy,
I think the answer
more in
is
line of what the effect probably should have been.
Oh, Dan, don't do it to me. Don't do it to me. Don't do it. I will lose my shit.
On this approach for erratas in the future, we're going to continue to explore the Escape from Tartarus cards, and I'm looking forward to hearing how you feel about us doing this errata approach for very minor changes to card effects in the future. That concludes our ban and limited list format.
This game is unplayable. It's not playable. You can't play this game, man. I'm done. That's GG's, bro. Holy fucking shit. I'm not gonna lie, that's so stupid, bro. What the fuck?
Tornation lives to see another day. True.
Tornation, Banlist,
I know they're not fucking hitting no tornation or whatever the hell, right? But like the problem, right, is that you get. Dude, okay, let me give you guys a story time. Once upon a time, there was a guy, a little Canadian boy, who went to Atlanta for a store open. And then you know what happened? The little Canadian boy that went to Atlanta for a store open went a solid 4-3. Of all of the games that little Canadian boy played at that tournament, he had, in terms of individual games, 3 good games. 3. Every other game was, haha, I drew infinity counter runes. And then every other game was, haha, my opponent drew infinity counter runes. It's like, I'm so tired of these counter runes dictating the entire game, bro. I cannot with this fucking game, bro. I can't.
To be a little bit of a voice of reason here, I think that Kevin does have some valid points here. everyone is gonna be a hater in chat, but you're valid. Like the reason that Hurricane is a card that I think people were fine with existing is because of the strength of counter runes. And then Hurricane's a problem because now you don't get to use counter runes at all. Like the individual card quality on each counter rune is high. It's high to a degree that Elestrals are not, and so they are they're game determinative, and they are particularly game determinative if you see a ratio of them that your opponent doesn't. If you see a ratio of counter runes that is greater than the amount of Elestrals your opponent has, you've won the game. If you see more Elestrals than counter runes they have, you've won the game. There are these pieces here that just kind of resolve in hand comparison games sometimes. And like, well, I played versus Dimax on Friday at the pre-premiere tournament, and it was just comparing who resolves where pup first and who has the counter runes to interact with it first. And that was just what the game was. And like, that makes the game a lot harder to play. It makes it a lot more frustrating. Hurricane's something that needed to go, right? However, that doesn't solve the problem that the game is still largely determined by just PTA shield. Like those are the things that determine the game.
Yeah, I think one thing that people in chat seem to be ignoring, right, is like when Caleb or when anyone goes, damn, I'm sick and tired of these counter runes because they're too strong. Like, let's be real. Even a card like Tsunami, bro, you read Tsunami, that shit blanks an entire battle phase. It's kind of very strong. Is it Field or Gorgon's Gaze level of strong? No, but it's up there. These cards are very strong. And when we talk about we're tired of these counter runes, we don't mean remove the counter runes from the game. Like, they're a part of the game and they're a thing that we need in the game, some amount of counterplay. However, the counter runes that we have right now are too strong, and we say we want them gone we want them to be phased out and replaced with things that are lower power but still impactful. Like, you can get counter runes that are still impactful. How many times, I'm gonna put it out there, bro, how many times have you won a game by sticking a dude with a 5 stat line on the board, and then for the rest of the game you're expecting to draw and setting a counter rune every turn, and your opponent just can't deal with it? I've won entire games. I've won entire games in base set, in Frostfall, in fucking Daybreak. I've won so many games by going normal this. Oh, I have shield. Sorry. Swing over a guy. Sorry, I said Gorgon's Gaze. Swing over a guy. Okay, but set Tsunami, and that's just the whole game. Like, there's so many games where this happens.
Apparently, the rest of the video, as we have about a minute 40 seconds left in the video.
My bad. Maybe we should have watched the rest of the video in silence. I apologize for the crash out. I'm muting.
Maybe chat was right. We do have to. All right. Let's hold on.
There was a ton of cards that we tested and looked at, but ultimately decided to keep the changes to just these. I want to mention, I know there's been some discussions around the counter rune suite and the limiting of some of the power counter runes like Gorgon's Gaze, Shield of Achilles, Poison Tipped Arrow, and a few others. My goal is to continue to introduce more elemental specific runes, especially counter runes, that allow more interesting play patterns and create more.
I'll put Hestia's Hearth and Trickery on the screen. I'm done.
Splashable into every single deck. This is something that's going to take a little bit of time, and you'll continue to see it built off of and developed in Livestream and future sets. Once those sets come out and we've introduced more options for players, especially elemental specific options, then we can take a look at limiting some of these powerful counter runes to increase diversity among the metagame. It's worth noting that anytime you utilize a structure deck or starter deck, as long as it is unchanged, you can use it legally, even if it has banned or limited cards in it. Our team is going to continue testing various scenarios and monitoring the competitive metagame and the health of the game, both with the launch of Elestrals Clash and the upcoming premiere.
I feel like there's a really big flaw with this argument.
Possibly can. Don't forget, Elestrals Clash launches.
There is, because they've had 5 sets to do this and they haven't.
It's not even that. There are counter runes that would be cool to play, but there's no reason to play them when you have better counter runes. If they want these cards to be played, they want things like the Lunar Phase to be played. They want things like Hestia's Hearth, they want Trickery to be played. You have to start hitting the back row to open up the main deck space, because the best thing you can play is what is going to be played. The reason meta stands for most effective tactic available. The most effective tactic currently is playing the best cards you can in a good stuff slot pile, And so you're going to play Gorgons, you're going to play Shield, you're going to play PTA. And so you're going to play those over the less effective cards until you cannot play them anymore. If we don't have Shield, we don't have PTA, we don't have Gorgons, there's valid reason to start playing Trickery and start playing Hermes. Hermes cannot exist if these cards exist. There's no reason to play Trickery. There's no reason to play Hermes, period. If Shield says you spent 5 to get out a Spinosect, it's back in your hand now. There's no reason to play it if Poison Tipped Arrow says that Spinosect doesn't do anything. Why would I play a deck that costs so much if it loses to a piece of interaction like that? I'm not getting to a point where Trickery is resolving in the first place.
I think to your point, right, is you look at the Dimax Trish, Waffle House list. They showed their spice. They were on 2 Poseidon and 2 Poseidon's Fury. You know what they said about that? What they said about the Poseidon and the Poseidon's Fury is that it made side decking very easy. Why? Because the moment they tried to be innovative and play something that wasn't just known to be the best cards of the fucking game, they were like, mid-tournament, they were like, yeah, I don't want this in my deck games 2 and 3 because it's just not good. And then they sided it out, and what did they put in? They put in, Galaxy Champs and the 3rd PTA or the 3rd Shield. It's like, yeah, bro, we have realized that, with a 40 card deck, you can reasonably fit 40 of the best cards of the game, and then your deck is just streamlined,
I think that there's a couple things. I mentioned this before on stream a couple times that I don't actually think the meta has been as quote unquote diverse as in the past couple of formats, even sets throughout, because I think realistically, and not to spoil too much from a quote unquote top player's perspective or content creator perspective, etc., guys in chat, y'all, Squids of all Nexus forms, we get bored. And so what we do is we win a tournament or we top a tournament, and then the next tournament we say, I don't want to play 5s anymore. I want to try something else. And so we build a different version of 5s or Frost, or we try to find something that scratches an itch. But the reality is that yes, those lists are topping. Yes, those lists are maybe even viable on some level. But when you break down to what Caleb said, the best cards in this game have continued to be the best cards in this game since base set, since Frostfall, Daybreak, because they are just that strong. The counter rune suite is all encompassing. Yeah, there might not be alternatives, but the problem is even if there are alternatives and these counter runes stay legal, like Dense Fog, for example, is a Gorgon's Gaze parallel, or Monsoon as a Gorgon's Gaze parallel, or Chains. Actually, KJ brings up a great one. Chains of Prometheus is actually a good card. We saw it pretty effectively in some niche cases, but why would you play that when it just doesn't do enough compared to a Tip or a Gorgon's Gaze or a Shield? There's no reason to play them outside of the fact that you want to. Which is, if your argument is I want to play these cards, that's valid. Play Monsoon, play what's it called? The Sirocco, play Zephyros. If you want to, that's great. But are they better more times than not than the generic counter runes? The answer is generally no.
I'm gonna give you the they hated him because he spoke the truth coder opinion here. Okay.
Take me, Jesus. Take me to church.
I'm going to. I'm gonna tell you what's up. I'm gonna tell you what's up. In the game of Elestrals, this is an opinion that I stand behind, and you are free to disagree with it if you do. In the game of Elestrals, the deck you play matters so little that it almost doesn't matter at all. Provided that whatever deck you play is built with the idea in mind that you play all of these really strong cards and stuff like that, you can build your deck around damn near any boss monster, any 2-drop, any 3-drop that you really like. If you like Sonic Horde, you want to put Sonic Horde in your deck, yeah, bet. Just play a Thunder deck, put 2 Sonic Core in there, and then congratulations, you're playing a Sonic Core deck with 38 good cards and 2 bad ones. That's fine. You'll still win a ton of games, and you'll still lose a ton of games, and the majority of those games that you'll win or lose will be decided by something entirely other than, than the Sonic Core that you chose to put in your deck and something like that. You know what I mean? And Sir Tractor saying, welcome to small game with small card pool. That simply isn't true, bro. You look at most card games, in their first 2 or 3 sets, you still have a diverse amount of meta. You know, you look at something like Lorcana, bro. How long has Lorcana existed? Lorcana's existed for what, a year and a half, something like that. And Lorcana had, bro, the fucking world championship took place, and players had to each bring 4 completely different decks. You know, like I watched the Lorcana. I don't understand anything about Lorcana, but you know what I noticed? I noticed that different decks, different people were playing different decks, played different cards and stuff. And saying Lorcana ain't real is psychotic, considering that game is 100 times, like, literally card shops aren't even talking about Yu-Gi-Oh no more. When they go, we are a card shop, we hold Magic, Pokemon, and Lorcana. Those are the games that they name, you know?
I think that
Rybot pointed out that Top Cut of Dallas Moonrise having diverse meta. The reality is that's just not the case. If 30 cards
that's accentuating my point. Exactly, that's accentuating my point. The deck you play does not matter. You can play anything you want, because realistically, as long as you play anything you want with the suite of the 30 good cards, then you can just play whatever you want. Which is why the game, this game is smoke and mirrors, optical illusions and stuff. They make it look like there's a diverse meta, but the reality of it is that the spice you choose to play in your deck, the secret sauce, right? I'm playing Antitan, I'm playing Pentair, I'm playing Cyprimal, I'm playing fucking whatever, all that stuff. Realistically, at the end of the day, those cards maybe are the cards that are the deciding factor in you winning 1 in 5 games. I played this past weekend. I played against a player that was playing the Cryo Rhinosect deck. He did not summon Rhinosect until a single point in game 3, where that card could have been any 2-drop in the game because he hard ascended it. And if it was any 2-drop in the game, he was winning. So the Rhinosect didn't matter, and he didn't summon Rhinosect a single time. Heck, if anything, both times where he summoned the Rhinymph, it cost him game. Like he was put on the back foot because he had to go Rhinymph. You know what I mean? It just
to the point of like anything. The Dallas topping decks, or like whenever we broke down the Moonrise meta in the Enchilada stream, it's like the reality of it's that, like, yes, again, there are decks that perform, that can do well, but they're typically under the foundation of like some load bearing cards, we'll just call them that, because the idea is that, like, yes, Power 9 exists, and like they're cards that are just that good that you should be playing them. But if the goal is to hopefully express certain like game plans or other types of strategies or different types of diversity, the reality is that, like, yes, you need a larger card pool to really enforce that, but you also need like certain deliberate design decisions that also that move towards that goal. For example, like Champion Sluggle is like a really cool game plan card that, combined with Poseidon, can introduce the Champ Majesty, which is a really cool like game ender. But the problem is that, like, as a 1/3 body, more often than not, that card is either getting outed. Let's say they have a Gorgons or some like common interruption, and it's a 1/3, so stat line wise, it's never surviving the next turn. And if that's true, then, like, you know, whoops, that game plan is dead in the water. The amount of times that I've seen like just a solid stat body mixed with good stuff pile win or perform better than this is a tried and true game plan or some sort of like strategy is kind of the talking point here, like, to chat, because like I understand, yes, small card pool, but the power disparity between, again, I talked about this previously on the previous stream. There are 37 cards, I think 37 is the right number, that are a 4 stat and above body. Do you know how many Elestrals there are? There's like 400. And so that means that 10% of Elestrals can just get got by 90% of the card pool can get got by 10% of the card pool. And those 10% are, you're seeing Eddies, you're seeing Spectres, you're seeing Galaxies, like cards that will pop up. It's not the fact that, like, that there's not cards out there that you can do stuff with, but they're just not as powerful in most scenarios than a Rabbit Defense and then switch to Galaxy Champ, right? Elchik was a 4/1 stat line is crazy. 230-ish.
Yeah,
Yeah, there you go.
He's kind of a 7-1, but yeah.
Yeah, right. Like yeah, 230-ish Elestrals. But like a 1 spirit cost Elestral that has a 4 and above, even like Cyprong, right, is a 4. It's probably one of the worst 4s in terms of like technicality. That hits over every spider. Like spider will win combat, but like spiders can't defend themselves.
I guess one thing that's big to talk about, and I think this is the bigger point of contention when you're talking about a card game. It is a game. The point of a game is for the game to be fun. Let me ask this to chat, and I want you guys to answer me objectively. When you have been playing Elestrals as of late in this last month, have you been having fun? Because I've asked this question to a ton of people when I was in Atlanta, and a lot of people were answering me, no, I have not been having fun. And I think another big point of contention here is, have you been playing in premieres? Have you been playing in like competitive tournaments, or are you just playing casuals, locals, playing with friends? Because I think casuals, locals, playing with friends, you can always have fun because you can just do your own thing, not have to care. But if you're playing competitive environment tournaments, such as like a premiere and stuff like that, most people, I feel, people have not been having fun on a competitive level. Yeah, and I think it's accentuated by the fact that people they play less premieres now.
Yeah, one of the craziest kind of sentiments I heard after the Atlanta event, like people walking out of the venue, was a couple of particular players that have consistency in topping events saying this format is unplayable. Like they came in hoping they'd be able to figure it out, hoping that this event would change their mind, or thinking that, you know, it was going to be fine and that the format wasn't that bad, hearing people dooming whatever. But they walked out saying, no, this was a fun event because the Elestrals community is excellent. I got to see my friends, I got to hang out with people that I don't get to see frequently. But in terms of actually playing the game, they were very disappointed at how the event went, because it's a tough spot to be in currently.
I think a lot of people, specifically their locals, are kind of like falling off. My locals, we used to pull 15 to 18 players in, you know, Frostfall. Then in Daybreak, it was 12 to 15. And then after that, in Moonrise, we were lucky if we had 8. Now my locals has exactly 2 people that are messaging in the Discord every week going, hey, the 2 of us are going. Are other people showing up, or do we not bother because it won't fire? That is where the game is at now, because people are not having fun with the game specifically. Like,
and that's not the only local like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know of, there's one local around me that's already closed down because they just weren't getting good attendance. I have a couple friends who have locals that are really slowing down, and my own locals, we still have regular groups, but a lot of the time it's because we're very good friends at this point and we want to see each other a lot more than we want to, you know, test for the next event or the next premiere.
I might just be like hopped up on Superman Hopium or something, but like, I mean, I don't know. I think that the locals thing is really important. Obviously, like having a backbone for your community on like a local level is huge, and that is expanding slowly. It is like the case where like there are balance issues with the game that have still not necessarily been entirely addressed and are like slowly getting there. But like I can't say that I haven't had fun playing the game at a competitive level. Like the bear run that we made with Justin, I think was like super fun. And like,
well, okay,
playing,
but
like,
we're
Clash
making
is,
the
like,
fun there.
Great, I think. Well, right, but I think that's part of the thing, is that I think inherently there's so much stuff that's still great with the current card pool. It's just that there's like on a micro, like moment to moment basis with this game, a lot of it feels very samey. And when we don't get those same things, that is when we get those like eureka moments, or like when the deck brews get really cool. Like the new Babloon card is really sick, and it partially what led me to try like the Poseidon's Fury into like Penterror like thing. And that was the deck did not do well because of, again, problem with the counter runes, problem with like a 5-stat body being just the best thing you can do, versus having like a game plan. And to me, that's the problem of disparity, is that like the average everyday stuff that you'll see 90% of the time with this game. I'll say 80. I'll be a little more generous. 80% of the interaction of like Viscerous set 1 counter rune pass is like so few far in between. The Bears list is like a shining moment in which that we have like a cool together strategy. You play like Nectar, you play the Cryolink, Cryovern. But you're right, that took like hours of testing and hours to dig through to be like, this is not only good.
Crash out. That took a crash out.
Yeah, legit.
Like the way, for those that don't know, the way that we call it bear bomb now, the way that like Den Majursa turbo deck that me, Justin, and Swole all took to the last premiere, and like 4 people took it to Atlanta. The way that deck came about for me and Justin is we were testing. I was testing against his bear deck at 3 a.m, and every time I'd be winning the game until he would just go, okay, I drop Ursicle, activate Den, do the thing, and then I would lose. I would get killed. I would get absolutely destroyed every time. And it was like, well, there's no counterplay to this unless I have exactly Gorgon's Gaze. And every time, that's just what's costing me the game, is just you just have this 2-card uninteractable combo. If I don't have the one thing that stops it, this is fucking broken. And then it took me crashing out, being like, well, this game's all about the auto win buttons, which I still think that it is. I think this game has a severe, I resolved my auto win button before my opponent resolved my auto win button problem. And that was what we were trying to accentuate with the bear bomb deck, was like, if this combo resolves at the right time, the game ends. Which is, it's true to an extent. It's not 100%, like it's not every single time, but it is true to an extent that everyone is trying to speedrun, get to their broken combo or get to their broken auto win card.
Yeah, that's like any game though, to be fair. Like getting to your win con as fast as possible is like that sounds fairly normal. But when the win, I think the issue that I'm finding is that like I'm having the most fun when like I was playing in Clash like a Glauby Ascension deck, and I was like, wow, this is a lot of really cool, interesting ideas. It's like a like water reanimator. It's such a cool like highlight of like combining those really good low to the ground strategies of like water, and then like having a cool payoff in the fact that you can like be so down in spirits and then just heal yourself back up and use the cards like Ascension cards like what's the one that brings a card back from the underworld when you kill an Elestral to 7/4? Capricorn.
Capricorn.
Yeah, but you can also play Rise in the Depths and Ashes, right? And that's like, again, has own host of issues. But that's the sort of like creative deck building that I think Elestrals really strives at, is how you have a lot of really cool ideas that are ultimately like overshadowed by a lot of the over centralizing good stuff cards. And it's okay to have good stuff, but when a Viscerous is the win condition, and you just stick that Viscerous and it sticks around for a turn or two, and that's the win con, that's I think where something somewhat gets a little less unbalanced, right? Because in theory with the Bears list, yes, when you drop the Bear Bomb, it's huge, but it's kind of supposed to be. It's a fairly large spirit investment, and it's a powerful enough effect. There are some counterplays to it in terms of Pandoras or Gorgons, etc. But you're right, it has to be specifically those. But even
fruit.
Spoiled fruit can kind of work. But like when you get to the point to where that is the same power level as a 1 spirit 5 body Elestral, that's a little bit weird for me, right? Now that's I think where my contention is. Where like there is cool stuff, but
what might sound a little weird is I think a point that Elestrals should aim for, that I think will put the game in a healthy position, is if we get to a point with the card pool in the game where main decking Pandora's Box is a reasonable and viable option.
Read.
I genuinely think that if you get to a position, right, where like, let's say, PTA Shield Gorgons are all at 1, most people are on Argo, you need to fill some amount of interruption cards. You put in a Pandora's Box. Pandora's Box beats the Argo, can potentially stop a reasonable Searcher or something like that, can stop like one of these Ascendant to a big Bungus effects and stuff like that. I think that might be a point where, because Pandora's Box, with the exception of Pandora's Boxing like the Ursa Den, it's never a card that just feels like, damn, this just did so damn much that I am losing the game to this one Pandora's Box,
It's also expensive.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's like, and I don't know. That's kind of, I think, where I think the discussion behind like the variety is a good point, because there is variety with an asterisk. You have to make either one, so many concessions to where you just are foregoing a sort of quote unquote competitively centered deck, or you're like, you have like the time bomb, like the big win cards that are just like the big win buttons, and it's, I don't know, it's a little bit strange. I would have liked to see the counter runes be hit on this, mainly because like I think some of the counter runes do just invalidate a lot of strategies in the more casual realm too. Like even playing on the casual level, like it is hard to really still flex your creative muscle there. Sometimes. Other times you're faced up against someone else who's also on Bubballoon Champ, and you're like, okay, great. But other times you're like, oh, I'm getting rocked because I just got like PT8 or Gorgon's tier. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think to your point earlier about like there being a lot of really cool stuff, I want that stuff to be playable, but the issue is that the percentage points between that and a meta deck are just so different that if you're taking a more pet type deck, you're bringing Water Reanimator to a real tournament, you could do well with it, but you need to have a good day, versus if you had a bad day on a deck that had higher percentage, you will have a better tournament run most likely. You'll see people top with these pet decks, with these off meta decks, but like Bo topping the last Moonrise Premiere with Volclips was not an indication of the strength of Volclips. That was an indication of the strength of Bo, and that's just the issue with all off meta decks. Basically, is you're just not going to be able to play the good cards.
Is it? We can search under player, right?
Can you search by player? I don't know that you can.
Yeah, you can.
You can.
Is it Bo or is it Q? Let's check.
It might be Q is too short, but the thing with Bo too, right? A big thing about Bo is you look at Bo's list from Dallas. Bo won Dallas on a deck that damn near no one else in the tournament was on. Is that because Bo cooked up a crazy strategy that no one thought to test or no one thought was good or whatever? No, I think people knew that the popularized photosynthesis deck name was good. Do I think it was the best deck in the room? I don't even think it was a top 3 deck for that tournament. But despite the fact of that, is that if you look at the difference between the top 1 deck, top 2 decks, and the 5th, 6th, or 7th best deck, I think the power difference between those decks is negligible. And if you're a good enough player, that power difference is really gonna make it so there's not much of a difference. You look at Josh with Ant Titan was fucking destroying everyone at this locals that happened right before the tournament this past weekend in Atlanta. Like, Josh was cooking everyone with Ant Titan. It's like, Bo is pulling up with decks that they're cooking up, but is it because those decks are secretly the best decks? They're not secretly the best decks. They're just fine. They are decks that are built competently, and because they're decks that are built competently, they can win. Simple.
I think something that we miss in Elestrals is due to the way that prizing works. There is not as much incentive to bring the objective best deck in the room, right? If you go to one of these events, because it is a smaller game, because the pool of top players is smaller, because you can still do well with these off-meta picks, there's not as much of an incentive to pull up with an objectively best deck. And you can just say, like, yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot on the line either. Like, yeah, it'd be nice to win the prize card, it'd be nice to win these things, but it's not like there's 10 grand on the line if you get first place at an open, versus if you go to like a Lorcana event and the prizing could mean that you could pay rent for the entire year from winning it. Like, there's a very big difference there. And so I think we will just inherently not see a lot of these decks that otherwise would probably flood out the rest of top cut?
I think it's a Sir Tractor's.
What's Sir Tractor's making in chat? Yeah, I was about to. You go first, Sol. I want to, because I feel like you and I are going to answer this differently.
Yeah, I think that like, so, the fifth best deck, not being so far away from the top 3, I don't really think is the point that we're making per se. I do think that for example, there are some rogue and off meta picks that can top, and typically we see a lot of like top performers that do take off meta strategies to do well. Again, probably because boredom. But what you find like similarly, I think throughout those like decks is those interactions that we're talking about, where it's not necessarily like yes, it's the caster skill, but because of how common a lot of the cards are in this game, I can't really tell you that like Bo's list, the Volclipse list, is about the closest I can get to telling you this is an actual different strategy versus like someone bringing or like even like the like what's it called, the Draking list, right? Like Sir Tractor, your Draking list. That is a Draking list, but it's also just like lunar good stuff with some of the best cards in the game, with a Draking like one of search, and maybe it's playing foamies, right? Like that's also part of it, but it's like I don't think that they're as close as we think. I unfortunately think it's more of an issue where it's like the top players in this game are good at spotting what could potentially convert, and then when that feels good because they're bored, they play that, right? And that's I think maybe my comment on the fifth versus third best deck. I don't know.
That is exactly my thought.
I have a thought experiment that I would like to propose to you all, because I'm of the opinion, and if you disagree with this opinion, then the thought experiment might be a little bit of a moot point. Yeah, you could. I'm of the opinion that if you take 2 of the top players in this game, you sit Swole versus Josh, you sit Josh versus Bo, you sit Bo versus whoever, you should get like the top players in the game. If you sit all of them across from each other and you have them rotate, like you give them, you're playing deck roulette. There's 8 decks in front of you that are all built correctly. You got the Pent Pig deck, you got the Lycavoid good stuff deck with you just have these 8 decks. Yeah, Dimax, any of these people, Dimax, Julian, you get all these top players, you sit 2 of them across from each other and you tell them to each pick a random deck and play a best of 3. I think if they were to play infinite games, those 2 players against each other, playing infinite games, rotating decks each time, they would probably come out to right about a 50% win rate. Because I genuinely believe that when it comes to this game, skill diff only matters for differentiating between a good player and a mid to bad player. But I think if you sit 2 good players across from each other, the game will more than likely not be decided by a skill diff. And I think the biggest example of this is me and Josh have played many times throughout all the sets, and we even played at the locals that was right before the tournament in Atlanta. And Josh and I came to the conclusion independently from each other, and we just both brought it up like at the same time. We're like, you and I have not had a good game of Elestrals ever. Every game that Josh and I have played against each other has either been decided by me sacking the shit out of him sacking the shit out of me, or one of us bricking. That we have never had a game, like I know Swole and Josh had a game in Dallas. Their match in Dallas was a match that came down to the wire, and I believe was decided on a misplay. Correct me if I'm wrong, Swole.
Yeah, Josh. So Josh was 1 spirit off, like count for we went into time, and I think the idea was that he should have played like a Quackle turn earlier or something, because he was like calculating out that might be a Josh question. For me, my heart was pumping so fast, I pretty much blacked out. So, but yeah, it was something like that where it did come down to just like I had to have a specific sequence of cards in that order, and Josh had to also misplay. And I think that's like to the point of like that's quote unquote a skill issue. Like if both players are playing in theory perfectly, like Yeah, I don't know. One, to Redux' point, like Dimax v Dimax is crazy because Dimax still gets second. That's wild. I can't believe you do that to him.
True. Very real. Very real.
But the second point is that like people are saying like, is it a bad thing that like you have effectively like generic staples and like good players who know how to play those staples and like some commonalities between stuff with like some flavor between. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Like you talk about like a fighting game. Fighting games have like that same stuff to you, fundamentals that all characters can kind of do, but how the characters interact with those fundamentals and how their special like qualities in like influence their character and the play style is kind of the point, right? I've been playing a lot of Pocket and a lot of competitive Pokemon Pocket. Not the perfectly well-designed game, just gonna point this out there. But one of the things I really do enjoy about it is that, like, yeah, all the decks are quote-unquote the same. You play 2 Pokeball, 2 Professor's Research, you play Sabrina, Cyrus, Cape. Like, you play a lot of these generic staples, and then you put the flavor on top. And the current, like, I think, tension point for some of the top players in the game is that, like, they're in this similar boat where you're playing the same staples, and you just splash, like, whatever, quote-unquote meta deck difference that you want on top. But the difference is the flavor of each different deck is so different that it's more about how the generic stuff interacts with that. For example, Greninja Cyrus or Greninja Giratina, very popular deck right now, but you play double Cyrus. You play double Cyrus instead of a Sabrina Cyrus because more often than not, you're using Greninja to attack someone on the bench and then you can Cyrus out. Or you have like Giratina Darkrai and you play like the poison barb because it's a good enough wall, and by the time that you get there, you don't really need to even play certain cards in those decks because you're like, well, when you eventually get to your win condition, you just don't really need them. So again, the staples that those decks play do impact the game and are sometimes very like over centralizing, but each of the individual flavors still do something wildly different, and you do have to build your deck accounting for that. In Elestrals, the spirit management is like the key difference, where yes, the cards do different things, but ultimately like Viscerus Astrabbit is not that much different than like Astrabbit plus like Elichick, right? Not really. Like it is, but not that much. Or other generic like beater plus card, right? I guess that's like the point that we're getting at.
I'm curious. If we ask the chat, name the best Elestrals player right now, who would you guys say is the best Elestrals player? And you two can answer this as well.
I think our difference comes down to timing. I don't want it until we have new ones. I think Sir Tractor, that's a good point. Like again, I don't think that like Sir Tractor, you're wrong here in saying that. Like it's more about the timing thing. Completely fine with that. Agree. Again, small versus like big card pool. Also, thank you, Jay. Big preach. Bo or Bean? Who's the best Elestrals player?
Because the thing is, right? So it seems like the discussion is up to Josh or Bo.
Spicy, probably.
But the reality of it is, you look at it this way, right? Bo, correct me if I'm wrong, has not won a single premiere apart from the 2 in-person ones, which I'm not. Again, I wanted to make it clear. I'm not downplaying anything. I'm just putting things into perspective. Okay, Bo, fantastic player. Played 2 really insane runs in in-person tournaments. Hasn't won any webcam premieres and stuff like that. Josh has won a ton online. X2 bubbled out in Dallas. X2 bubbled out in Atlanta. Just didn't top either one of those tournaments. And I think the reality of it is if you look at someone like, again, you were making the comparison to fighting games. You look at Arslan Ash and Tekken. I can't think of the last time Arslan Ash didn't even top 8 a Tekken tournament. You look at Smash Brothers, bro. When's the last time Hungry Box didn't make top 8 at a Smash tournament and stuff like, you know what I mean? That's like a big thing. It's a big factor. So what is keeping these players from consistently topping every tournament that they play, or even winning every tournament that they're playing? And the reality of it is that it being a card game, there's a variant of luck. There's a luck factor inside here. And I think in Elestrals, that luck factor is accentuated more than in other card games. Because I don't think there's going to be a single player in Elestrals right now that you can expect to top or win tournaments the same level of consistency as you would expect someone like Jesse Cotton to top every single tournament he enters. And Jesse Cotton is entering like tournaments with upwards of 800, 900, 1,000 players, and he's topping every single time. I think that if Elestrals had 800, 900, 1,000 players all entering an Elestrals Championship Series, an ECS, if you will, I really don't think that I'm gonna be very real. I think that you wouldn't see Bo topping every single one, or you wouldn't see Josh topping every single one, or Swole, or me, or Cobalt, or any of these people that have consistently topped throughout the years. I think there is more variance in this game that would make it so that if you looked at a top cut, sure, you would see reoccurring names, but it wouldn't be one of those situations where you see the same name in every fucking tournament the same way. Anytime you look at a top cut of any YCS, Jesse Cotton's name is there. You know what I mean?
I think that one, Luke Von Karma is statistically the best Celestials player. That's true. I think
100% top cut rate.
Wait, don't forget the one to go down in history.
Ooh.
Oh,
history actually 100% win rate in tournaments. That's kind of crazy.
Dan, I cannot
History.
believe that Dan
Shout
brought
out
that
to
up.
Dan.
Gone
on
but never
stream.
forgotten.
Remembering
Gone
that
but
fun
never
fact.
forgotten.
I think that
Gone
there's
but never
like,
forgotten.
to the point of like, so yes, there are consistent top players in the game that will go to the top. Yes, I also, to Real Chair's point, there is very little variance in fighting games in terms of quote unquote luck factor, like overall. But I think that the point that we're trying to make is that like even in a perfect world where the top players are still the moment to moment gameplay is determining like maybe a little more than skill expression. I do think this game does have still a absolute metric ton of skill expression, and to this end, the consistent difference between top players and someone who's like not topping very often is the ability to like see cards, notice quote unquote either potential or otherwise, even if it's a fun deck, and be able to say this is a good enough threshold where I can perform with it. But you don't see like top players consistently saying this trash card I'm gonna like make top. Like there are times where that happens, but even like the Volclips list from Bo, this deck has a lot of just good stuff in it, and it's not like the lunar cards are that bad, quote unquote. They're just maybe a little bit clunky, but there is like between this or the Cryo Rhino deck for Sir Tractor, right? That deck is, I would say, like a good deck, but by no means is like the best deck in the room. But it takes someone
like Trevor's saying, Josh moment. Literally, Josh can pull up with any deck and he'll do well. It's insane, you know.
Yeah, like,
but
it's interesting.
A big thing about the variance in this game, and this is something that I was talking to Alex super insane about. There are many times, both in testing and in tournament, where you will play a game and you'll, after the fact, ask your opponent or people watching or whatever, or the people you're testing with, you go, what did I do wrong that cost me the game? And Alex and I hate that there's this one reoccurring theme, which is there are so many times where the answer to that is actually you didn't do anything wrong, they just had it. And I feel like that happens more in this game than I've seen it happen in any game ever. You know what I mean? They just had it. They had the thing. There was no counterplay to it. They just had it.
There are a lot of times where it's like, all right, I'm in a good position. However, if my opponent has exactly like PTA, I lose the game, and there's no way for me to have prep for that. That's just how it is. Versus many other card games, there are ways to play around that. There are ways to prep yourself to have a better like 50-50 into that later on in the game.
Yeah.
There's a lot where it's like, just because of how the exact series of cards were drawn, there's literally nothing you could have done. And that is card games to a certain degree. However, there definitely are moments where it's just like, it is what it is.
I mean, to Random's point, like, would limiting strong runes actually help that feeling? That's a pretty good like question to ask. Like, would
it would, and I have the reason why. The reason why is specifically because with these counter runes limited, you get to play around more things more often. The amount of times where you look at old school Yu-Gi-Oh, you look at Goat format, you look at Edison format, Mirror Force is at 1, Bottomless Trap Hole is at 2, Torrential Tribute is at 1. These kinds of cards are cards that shift the tides of the game. Early on in the game, you kind of just have to make reads or educated guesses based on how your opponent's playing as to what back row they have. But then the moment they've torrentialed you, you no longer need to play around torrential. At that point, you can utilize your player skill to make an educated guess as to what the back row they now have is, based on the way that they're playing on top of the information of the reduced amount of cards that they could have. They can no longer have Torrential Tribute. Oh, they use Mirror Force? They can no longer have Mirror Force. And then with that, you get to apply your player knowledge and your skill as a player who is practiced to play around the remaining cards that you know your opponent likely has. And the other thing to keep in mind here is specifically the fact that that would make it so playing off meta like back row picks gets better, because then your opponent cannot read you as well. Like they are more than likely, like if everyone's on Argo because they limit PTA shield, all this stuff, then at that point people will be playing around Argo more. But what if they didn't expect that you had a monsoon set or something like that? Like, oh, I've gone through the Gorgon's Gaze, so I'm not going to get suppressed here. Oh, get absolutely owed. I have Dense Fog. And you're like, oh shit, you're playing Dense Fog, and you just get caught out by it. And that's where deck building, the variance in deck building, the ways that you can tailor your deck building a certain way to play around with the idea. That's one thing that me and Justin did when we played that the Lycavoid deck, where we're playing 2 Lycavoid champ with the 3 full moon at the last Moonrise tournament. We built that deck with the idea and the understanding that if people played correctly into the 3 Werepup, 1 Full Moon, 1 Lycavoid engine that everyone was on, they would play incorrectly into our deck, because we would have 3 Full Moon, 2 Lycavoid and stuff like that to take advantage of them playing correctly into the popular way to play the engine. And because we're playing an unpopular way to play the engine, we get to catch people off guard. And it worked, you know?
Yeah, I kind of want to combine 2 comments from Chef and Scott and Teklo. So, like, I think to Teklo's point about like water enchanting something to play around counter runes, or to swing in such a way that you're playing around like shield, a la like old school Gores stuff. That is still correct. Like you can still do those things, and like accounting for a water enchanted card to play around Tsunami is very real. Don't get me wrong. There is counterplay in technical play around the counter runes at their current copies. But to Scott's point, like the amount of times that you do get got just because the frequency of those playing around occurrences is frustrating. And then on top of that, like sometimes from my experience, as the game has developed, more often than not, you are in positions where you can't actually you can't actually play around it, because you have to properly enchant for like a Lester that's like a fire enchant. Or like you have to properly enchant, or you can't swing in any other order, right? And that argument could then be said that your opponent puts you in that position, right? But that's not really sometimes, for me, hasn't been the case to where like I felt like my opponent walked me into checkmate. I felt like I had no other option, based off of just the variance. That's, I think, the core crux of the issue, is that I think for a while, and in some cases, the game did feel very much like you could like walk people into those checkmate scenarios, and that felt like, wow, they engineered this scenario. Like Bo's list, for example, playing the 1 Torchin and the Kinleo as like a bomb drop. I could arguably say that Bo would force a lot of those scenarios in which that interaction would be like manufactured. But I don't think on average that you are in positions where you're like, I've made this 5D chess move, and instead you're like, well, I have to do this play or else I lose on the spot, right? And that to me, I think, is kind of the issue, is that there is counterplay, and yes, there's skill expression, but the amount of times that actually wins versus like just raw variance feels very unbalanced. I think it's to kind of combine those 2 points.
Yeah, you can never play around everything. You can only ever play around some things, and sometimes I don't think you can really read in this game. It's all going to be just it's a game of chance because you're just trying to take the guess of, oh, there's one shield in the grave and none of the other ones, so I guess shield is the one I should play the least around. And then sometimes you'll just get hit by the shield and you just explode, and you're like, well, GG.
Yeah.
No, that's a different counter run.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You said yeah.
No. But like that's and to the point of like, yeah, the elemental runes a la earthquake, a la like generic stuff like resting, kind of comes into this argument, right? Where it's like, is earthquake okay and is resting not, right? Resting is technically more powerful because it's the splash ability of it, right? But the spirit investment for like an earthquake, even at its prime of having 3 earthquake, the 2 or 4 earth spirits are splashing in there for your viscerous and your earthquakes, is still fine. And that was for a smaller card pool. So as the game gets bigger and it becomes more worth it to play like larger portions of water or wind, like, yeah, you have to make a deck concession. And that goes back into what, Coda was saying about the deck building portion of that, like, it should ultimately come down to deck building choices and then top player skill expression. And it's like, right now, that's such at odds with each other. Most times, because I don't have to make a concession to play Shield, Tip, Tsunami, Rabbit, like Beaters, Ambrosia, right? Right now the list we're showing is Julian's list of like 2 Ambrosia. That's a cool creative choice, right? Playing Monsoon Maid.
I convinced him to do that. I convinced him to do that because we were looking at the list. He's like, man, I really want to fit in this card and this card, and it's like, Ambrosia's a brick in your deck. You cut it down to 2, and now you can fit the 3 Hurricane and the 2 Monsoon and the 2 Tsunami and the 2 PTA and the Shields and the Gorgons and the Zeus because you cut that down.
Yeah, but even then it's like, this list still is just playing some of the more generic stuff and has like its game plan elements to it. But like compare this to like Trish's list, it's not really that much different. Not really, like it is, but the concessions these 2 players had to make were like alter maybe, and then of course like the Poseidon Sphere, Poseidon Tech, which was the big standout. So it's like, again, there are concessions, but they're not that hard to make. Not
the difference between these decks is like which 5 card 1 drop that you're playing 3 of into a 2 drop into, I guess, 3 drop, or the full moon being the 5th brick, or the 5th card of the engine. It's like, which of these 2 5-card engines do you want to play, and then what set of 5s and the little differences in counter runes are you playing? Yeah.
No, I think that's like, well, so it's a to random's question. Like, are we hoping Livestream introduces more generic runes? No. In fact, I want
colored runes, yeah.
Colored runes for sure. Like the Monsoon cards, the Winds cards are very interesting from a design perspective because they do offer something different in different spirit elements. You can't play Monsoon like effectively in every deck. You can, but you'd have to make like different deck concessions. So again,
that's the coolest part about Julian's list, I think, is being able to play Monsoon Natty. Like that made that, like, walking into a COP Galaxy and getting Monsooned is nightmarish. Like that is such a cool thing, and you don't expect it the first time that it happens to you, and that is what made this really, really cool. When I now have to calc, is this Monsoon, is this PTA, is this Shield, is this Gorgons, is this Tsunami? That is a lot harder to play into, and that's what made this really cool. This is a different type of interaction that we don't have a lot of.
Yeah, and it's like, I think the really funny part about all this, like ultimately, is that like cards like Argo are also up for like debate because like, yeah, they're generic, but the payoff is like a 4 spirit payoff, and it's how it plays in the deck. There's like a different argument there for that being generic versus not. But I think I think I know Soren played Pepper played Wingen or Tornation, and like you could easily slot Monsoon into this deck, right? And I think there's Monsoon on the side. There you go.
Wait, show me this deck list. How the fuck do you guarantee the Wingen hit? There's nothing that foretells in this.
You don't. You just call Sorlet.
Yeah, you call Sorlet.
Does not seem good.
5.
No, there's no way that's good.
It's the same.
Solid.
Yeah, it's the same idea that like we ran in the first Firestorm tournament. So you're kind of like hoping that the generic stuff is good with the payoff of random, like, Sorlet hit. Yeah, it's about right. You don't really play the
Monsoon it too.
Yeah, you got the Monsoon to re-enchant if you miss.
I'm just gonna put it out there. I was playing Wingen in fucking Voldusk deck, and I was calling Lunar Phase with like 11 Lunar Phases in deck and still missing. I don't think you can call. I'd be like, I'm just gonna call Sorlet and I'll hit 1 of 6. There's no chance.
I think it's,
it happens.
It happens a lot, actually. I think so this deck, Soren's list, and then like in the first Firestorm, I played the Wingen list, and most of my games were one off of being like, all right, Sorlet, and I hit one of the Sorlets or a generic. It was sick.
Also, I played
I love making my RNG game more RNG. Let's go.
I played that Wingen Lunar Phase deck. I was the one that schlocked that list over to Ren from Orlando, who top 32 Dallas with it. Like, you definitely hit a lot more than you're saying, or you're just turbo unlucky and maybe you. Now
let me
get your
you know
soul
what?
cleansed.
I'm gonna hypergeometric calculate this. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
The chances of the
Let's say you got 30. Let's say you got 35 cards in deck, right? And you got 6 hits, sample size of 3 cards, and you need at least 1 success in your sample. The odds of hitting are 63%. Are we really gambling on a 2 in 3 chance of hitting this thing? Like, for real?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really good.
You go Wingen with a counter rune protecting it, and or it's a Monsoon, you can just do it again. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know, bro. I don't know. That just doesn't feel worth it. I would rather just normal a guy that guarantees get me value every time. Like, that's
dude,
the thing, you know?
I've played this in I've played versus this at locals, and it's good. It's scary.
You know what? If anything, this proves my point that is just how broken Tornation is, that you're willing to gamble a 63% chance of getting it, because that's how auto win it is.
Oh man.
Sure.
It's above 50%. I think is good enough, right? If it was 52%, I'd be like, sure, why not?
If you have, okay, let me
play shit on a coin flip.
Assume,
that's fine.
Let's assume you have opened 1 of your 6 Sorlets. How much does that fuck up your odds? It lowers it to a 58% chance.
Yeah,
that's totally fine.
Yeah, you do that. You still call Sorlet, or you just hero call like Gorgons.
Yeah.
People saying that it's not above 50. Do you guys not know how to do math? Am I crazy? I hope you're not calculating getting 1 of 6 in 3 cards in a 40 card deck because you start with 5 cards in your hand. You're assuming it's a 35 card deck if it's the first turn. Every subsequent turn, your odds go up provided you haven't drawn the pig. It's the same odds as milling Cedarsaur or Asprowl off Snowlet turn 1. Yeah, and how rarely does that happen? It feels like it happens all the time because you got that confirmation bias going on, and you're just like, oh yeah, every single time it happens every time. Bro, the amount of times your opponent goes Snowlet and they just hit counter rune, and you're just like, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you know what's really funny is that, like, the fact that it's similar to the Cedarsaur mill off of Asprowl lends credence to your point of, like, maybe we should ban Wingen, you know? Like,
yeah. Yes. Bro, we didn't even get through my entire wishlist ban list. I had Cedarsaur to 2 on my wishlist ban list, unironically.
That would just buff the deck. It's like Blizztrix down to 1. It's like, yeah, who cares?
Yeah, exactly,
you're only playing one Blizztrix. It's
I'll just hit it anyway. I believe in the heart of the cards. I'll hit it when I need to.
True. It's I don't know.
The thing that's cool, right, about a Cedarsaur to 2 is that you could still just play the Cedarsaur with Paleoth thing, which is like the cool way to play it.
Yeah, see that I miss Centarbor. That shit was so sick.
Same. You could technically still play Centarbor with
Yes.
I'm trying to think of what's the new way of playing Centarbor. Oh, Lycavoid. You could do Lycavoid Earth Enchant.
Yeah.
Well, not anymore, but
Lycavoid is the greatest.
Crazy.
Lycavoid is the greatest like bank of all time. The bank of Lycavoid.
Dude, and I be cashing that dog every single day.
Except for Sundays.
Cash that dog.
Can't do a Sunday.
Oh my god.
Thanks for
okay, let's take a tally. Let's take a tally. Everyone, this ban list, rate this ban list out of 10. How do you feel about the new hits? I will go last because I feel like I disagree with everyone. Lol.
All right. Khaleb, Habibi, what you got?
I'm gonna give it what? We'll do 0.5 for every card that I'm no longer allowed to play in my main deck. So that's there's 1.5 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. So that's what, 4.5? I'll go to 4.5.
4.5? Oof.
Like I think it's fine, but yeah. I really think that it is not enough. And I'm going to locals tonight, and I'm gonna hope that we can all gentleman's handshake into trying out the new ban list, and we'll realize that nothing changed.
Yeah,
except Lycavoid, I guess.
TV off kind of ban list, I'm assuming. It's
feels swole.
I get, you know, in true Swolux fashion, it's a 16 out of 10 because there's 16 cards on this list. But I think from the cards that are currently still staying on the list, things like Race the Top, things like Earthquake, and things that were not hit, maybe even the counter runes or other problematic cards and Elestrals, yada yada. I gotta give this one maybe a 6 out of 10. I'm still on the lower end of this. I like it a little more positive because of the Lycavoid hit. That is huge. Don't get me wrong. But I don't know how much that changes outside of like you take Trish's second place list, you swap out the Werepups, or you could just put in, you know, the one like old Lycavoid, and this deck is the same.
Yeah, changes nothing.
And that's still whatever. So I'm curious to see how that plays out for August 2nd. But for now, 6 out of 10 is where I land. What about you?
I'm gonna be the hater, bro. I'm gonna be the hater. This list is I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna put it at like a solid 3 out of 10 because they hit 3 cards that they had to hit. They hit Hurricane, they hit the Morolith, and they hit the Lycavoid. Kinleo didn't need a hit, but I'm gonna give a solid 3 out of 10. But the reality of it is that this ban list does not do enough to change anything, and I feel like that's been kind of the theme, right? Like there's a lot of, I'll be real, there's a lot of cards on this list that don't even need to be on here. I'm gonna be so real. I feel like every single card that's at 1 here probably shouldn't be at 1. It should either be at 3 or banned.
Why is Race the Top still on this list? Why is Earthquake still on this list?
Like, let me put this into perspective. Equalinx ban, Kindleo to 3, Lavalith ban, Arcalith ban, Morolith ban, Farrageist ban, Earthquake to 3, Race to 3, Hurricane ban, Resting ban, Rise ban, Vis to 3, and then everything that's banned just stays banned. Can we just agree on this? Can we just agree on that?
Unironically, yeah. I'd have to look at it to know for sure, but from what you said, that I think I agree with all of that.
Like, all of that just makes complete sense. Like we just accept that there's cards in here that are like ridiculous and stupid, and the cards that are ridiculous and stupid we remove. Like, why do we keep putting cards that are I'll say it again, ridiculous and stupid to 1? Arcalith, like the amount of times you play against Thunder and you're winning the game, you're like, okay, I am leading, but at any point if they go XD Arcalith, I lose the game. And you know what? They always have a lot
of people this week. I did a lot.
XD Arcalith, I win the game.
Yep.
Repeat the 3s. I'll repeat. Ban, Equalinx ban, Lavalith ban, Arcalith ban, Morolith ban, Farrageist ban, Hurricane ban, Resting ban, Rise ban, and then to 3, Kindleo to 3, Earthquake to 3, and Vis to 3. Simple.
And Race to the Top as well.
And Race to the Top to 3. Yeah, exactly.
I think
all
one
of
the unfortunate things that I think that they might be falling into here is the Escape from Tartarus idea is really cool. I like the idea of taking cards that are just way too strong and will never be able to come back and retraining them. I think that Drataya can never come back. I think that Sparkit maybe can, but it will not be for a very long time. I think Elichik will be able to come back. I think that Lycavoid probably could come back, but they're just going to errata it. I think that like Escape from Tartarus makes a lot of sense for some of these cards that just should never see the light of day again. However, they've then, because they did it once and then they did it a second time, seem to have locked themselves into this. If we ban something, it has to come back in some additional form. When, like, if they banned I don't know if they banned Race to the Top for a format and it came back, that would have been fine, because people would have seen that like, oh, nothing really changed. That's fine. They can ban Farrageist. They don't have to retrain it. They can ban Resting on Your Laurels. They don't have to retrain it. These are cards that probably can come back at some point. Well, Farrageist probably not.
The thing,
but like,
the thing with me,
Resting
right, is
could
I
probably
just
come back at some point.
yeah, with the whole Farrageist thing, like I think that there's cards on here that they're accepting. They have the knowledge of these cards aren't fun. Farrageist, not a fun card. You get Farrageisted, you're like, yeah, okay. Did I draw the Earthquake? No. Okay, well I guess I just lose because like he summoned the thing that wins the game. Like those cards are not, they're not fun. And if those cards aren't fun, why are they in the game? You know, we as a community and them as a, you know, development team can look at a thing and go, wait a minute, hold up. This isn't fun. Maybe we should remove the thing that isn't fun. You know, just remove the thing that isn't fun. Just delete it. Be like, this isn't fun. People don't like it. Remove it. And I'm sorry to the 3 people that go, my ace monster is Farrageist and I want to summon Farrageist. Like, I'm sorry, bro. Like, play something that's a 2-player game. You know, like play something enjoyable. Don't stick a big camel on the board and say, haha, pay your taxes, motherfucker.
Yeah, I don't know. There's like I think the amount of removal a la Earthquake to 3 is a little bit scary right now. The game would have to speed up quite a bit. You'd have to effectively, yeah, I think you could have Lycavoid Champ back, but the core balance that I want to see from Elestrals then going forward is that like game plan decks are strengthened by Banlist and design choices. Stat like application a la like when you create new cards, or in theory errata old cards, like Spark at Tartarus, for example, like create themselves to where you are ensuring that you are meeting some sort of like design while still trying to enable interesting and thoughtful play. Spark at Tartarus is a great example where I actually do think they did a good job on. They gave it enough to where if you quote unquote pair it with Zeus, you're still going over rabbits, which is 3 attack, but it's not a particularly offensive and defensive body with its attack stat. In addition, the Nexus is only supplemental and doesn't really do a whole lot. You got a lot of really cool plays like you saw Cobalt do, which is Nexus off the Sparket to a rabbit for the effect of just the rabbit.
Oh yeah.
And that's like a really cool like play to do. And the hand rip is neutered enough to where it's impactful still, a la what we saw with Trish and Bo, but not like game ending because you're always hitting exactly what you need. So that's a great example of, I think, a way that the Banlist, Tartarus, and some of the design can come together to help tune some of the stronger cards. Like if we got a Farrageist escape from Tartarus that was just like still Farrageist, still couldn't be bounced or still couldn't be bounced to hand or something, but it just didn't have like the burn effect or something. I don't know. There's like ways to, I think, do it to where it's not over-tuned. For example, like
it would let people continue to play these cards that they really like, because I think that the Farrageist art is one of the best in the game, bar none. Like it is like crazy looking card. It's so sick. I love the tablet art. I love all this stuff. I would like to play it. I think that it is a cool thing to be able to play in Lunar stuff. And I think that Lunar could really appreciate having a reason to play a more Lunar focused deck. But there's no reason to play just a one of Farrageist, I think.
They did kill...
It's just not enough.
They did kill Drakion on the spot. What decks are the biggest losers and winners from this list, do you think?
Fire Artifact lost Kindleo. Well, didn't lose Kindleo, but less Kindleo, which means when you Smoltuga now, you kind of have to decide if you want to go for Kindleo or something else. The odds of having the thing is like not as high. I think that's the only like real big. I mean, I guess Blizz lost, you know, two Moralith, XD. I guess Pentarodot deck lost Hurricane, which was like their big playmaker because you could just go that and then go into the Pent. I don't think Blizz is dead by any means, though. I think Blizz is still an extremely playable deck just because that deck can just high roll the fuck out of you. It just lacks in the, you know, it doesn't just insta send out like a big dude that threatens the board and like, you know, advances your game state.
Yeah, it has a less good low to the ground and a better high roll still. And I think that's like the Moralith accomplished both for the deck. It gave it a good low to the ground, and it also gave it a good high roll. So it's like this that I can agree with. Like the Moralith is like, I think unquestionably the best hit on this list so far. I mean,
It was a reasonable hit. I agree with it.
Hurricane as well. I think Hurricane is really weird for like Nabi Pigs list and stuff like that, where Pantera or like battle focus decks now do have to worry about more counter runes, which maybe was the point. Like those decks were pretty strong in the first place. Nabi does get a pretty big buff because Lycavoid's not everywhere, so you are more likely to like have your Nabi attack sync work more. So maybe like that deck gets a lot better here. I still think Good Stuff Pile is very real.
Thunder best deck.
Thunder's still crazy. Like you could play the mono.
I think it's
Thunder.
really good. It's unaffected by this, and all of its biggest ops got hit. The hardest deck to play into is the Pent deck.
What is Jund? The people in chat saying Jund. What is that?
It is Fire Earth Lunar.
Yeah.
Jund is the red green black color name in Magic the Gathering. It's a big deck that Joseph likes.
Yeah.
So it's scrap. Okay, got you.
Yeah, it's scrap. It's scrap with Werepup in it.
Werepup scrap. Okay, got you.
Yeah, but that deck's dead, isn't it? Or I guess
Yeah,
old Lycavoid.
you just moved
play
back to
old
OG
instead?
scrap.
Yeah, and that's fine. Yeah, like does water get any better
Bears
here?
are a
Probably
big
not.
winner here. Bears are a
Bears
big winner here.
huge.
I mean,
Yeah.
Bear Bomb goes crazy.
Is insane, yeah.
Bear Bomb is absolutely a crazy deck. I also, one thing that I believe is I think for Blizz now, what's more than likely to happen, or even for Frost in general, is you're going to see a lot more Brahmalink Search Blizzard. I think that's a thing that you're going to be seeing a lot more of. And I think that's going to be very powerful. I actually think it's very strong.
I love Search and Blizzard with Brahmalink.
I think the big thing that's going to happen a lot too now is that I think it's less reasonable to only set one on the first turn. I think if you have like a spread of like, you know, Tsunami PTA or Tsunami Gorgons, you'll probably set both, and you're just gonna feel so ass the moment you just get obliterated by the one of Hurricane. Like that. This is the one thing I don't like one ofs for, is like when you do get hit by these one ofs, you just feel like shit. I got so upset when I put against Josh. And I was playing Blizz at the locals tournament thing, right before the Atlanta tournament. I was playing Blizz. I had 4 dudes on board, and Josh out of my board because he went EQ the Asprow, resting the rabbit, normal summon Galaxy Champ, swing over a thing. I'm just like, well, I'm cooked, you know, at that point. But so that like one ofs just don't feel good, and the more one ofs you have in the game, especially the more one ofs you can fit in the deck. You look at Bo's list. Bofit, Lavalith, Arcalith, which are 2 fucking insane game swing cards. It's just a lot.
Yeah.
I want to see less one ofs. Less one ofs, please.
Yeah, it's weird because like I even think in a pre-Hurricane world, like it was still probably correct just to set 1 or 2 back row at a time and then just hold the rest for like when you need it. I think about like Jess did this a lot in tournament play in the Elestriad, where she would just like set 1 like effectively each turn, use it, and then just like go on and effect, and just always put your opponent on like which one is that, to make sure that like yeah, that loses to Thunderstorm, loses to Blizzard, which yeah, if you're kind of predicting that to be a Mulma Rise, be really good. Titana Strike, it gets a lot better for sure. So like yeah, Thunder being like really strong. Gloombat, I don't know if Gloombat's gonna be playable at all, but it's a cool inclusion to think about in terms of backer removal.
He's a funny little guy. I like him.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that this deck does bring out some new strategies. It's a shame it kills some strategies, but I think Wind, Thunder, Frost is still very playable, and like there's like a water list in there somewhere, I'm sure. But those are probably the best
Julian will
decks.
be the one to do it, I believe.
Yeah, lock a gun through the roof.
Lock a gun to the moon, baby.
Titan buff, and Titan's still good, but and Titan is Earth. Does Earth get better with this? Kinda. Not really, but kinda.
Earth Thunder? Yo,
Good.
return.
No, just play a Titan Earth Lunar. You're fine.
Well, what you lose in Earth Lunar in Titan deck is you lose the Werepup line. So like you
Yeah,
do.
who needs Werepup? That card's ass.
I mean, like you probably still play it for the Nexus Bank and like the old Lycavoid. I'm sure Josh is still sitting here like in Titan best deck.
Yeah,
But
And he would be right.
true. But I don't know.
I don't know. My big thing,
Curious.
and I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna put it out there. I was hoping that this ban list would do something that would make me want to play this game. This ban list does not. So I'm gonna be bowing out. I won't be playing until something changes. Personally, I'm not playing in the next two premieres and all that stuff. I have my ticket for Kissimmee if the next set doesn't change things in a way that is drastic enough. I'm not going to that either. That's just me. That's where I'm at with this.
I think it's very good to be able to take breaks from games. I took a break from Elestrals near the start of Firestorm, and it was very good for me. It was good for me to be able to get back into the game and enjoy it a little bit more than I had. So I hope that you're able to have the same experience I had.
Yeah, I would
Hopefully.
I hope that like this comes into Clash so that I think people and for myself are able to experiment with some of these deck building choices in like a safe environment. That's kind of my big hope for obviously like the 1-to-1 Clash and paper play. I think I'm excited to try different decks always when there's a ban list and always when there's new product or there's like some change to like try to unlock the same feeling. And I think this list does do that to an extent, but probably not enough to where I can say that, like, again, the same 20 to 26 cards in a deck is going to be the same for me. Like, when I go to build a deck tomorrow or tonight or, you know, today, it's still going to be 3 with one of Earthquake and then, like whatever I want to splash in there. And that's still the case, and that's still going to be very interesting to see happen. Yeah, I don't know. It's also weird releasing this list, I think, today versus like having it go into effect for like the casual tomorrow, because we have a casual tournament webcam tomorrow. And I'm like, I would have loved to see this list be able to be like, which I'm sure players will probably just, yeah, like gentlemen's into, but I would have loved to see this list go into effect for the casual tournament tomorrow to see how it feels in like the player perspective. Because otherwise it's like this and a PNM, etc. Like what's the point for playing for a couple weeks until the second, right? And unless you're just testing, which does give your players time, don't get me wrong. But I would like to see this that have been placed at a particular time that aligned with certain play.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. How will this affect LeBron's legacy?
That's a great question. That's a great question.
Any closing
I think
thoughts,
I
y'all?
need to head out.
Yeah.
I'm so hungry. It's almost 2 p.m. We've been at this.
I think I too am going to be leaving. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Well,
But Elestrals, please fix the game. Make me enjoy it again because I want to enjoy it. I really do. And yeah, that's it.
I love who
Ja,
you.
ja, ja.
What about you? Closing thoughts?
I'm looking forward to playing locals tonight. My deck will be almost identical though. So I'm playing my Thunder Werepup deck, and I'm putting Chrysaor instead of the Werepup, and I think the deck will improve. Actually, it will feel better, but I don't think that's necessarily a positive thing. That is all that's changing, and that kind of disappoints me.
With you. Chat, thank you so much for being here on our ban list yap session. Like and subscribe.
Ban list.
The Dan list.
Looking forward to.
If you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, you guys have to subscribe right now, or I will be upset. And you don't want that.
Very
Smile.
sad.
Away.
Banlist. Okay, bye.
Bye, everybody.
That was nice, chat. All right. Well, closing thoughts and closing statements on it all, I guess. Thoughts on the new Latagon? I sub 2 words. It's so, so cool. Thanks for watching the stream. Absolutely. I think that with again, there's new stuff on the horizon. Live stream is really, really interesting. I think the ban list choices here are also up for discussion. I'd love to know y'all's thoughts and opinions too, of course. And sorry about the technical difficulties earlier. I really don't know what's up with that, but I'm glad that we got everything taken care of. We'll be live sometime later this week too. We'll have, yeah, they took you down for the 9/11 joke. Legitimately is so funny. And God dang it, Miwa. Anyways, I think that this was a fine entry into our history of Elestrals. I'm curious to see how the implications of this really pan out. New stuff inside of the live stream is cool. I'm excited for Lakagon. I'm excited for Latagon. Aphrodite looked really cool in terms of artwork and stuff. I think it was crazy that got revealed early. The stuff that was revealed even in the at the Atlanta store that I've seen, also really exciting. So again, I love to cook up new lists, and I think that's really sick. I cannot wait for Kisame, and I'm hoping that I'll see y'all there. I would also love to play an August 2nd. Don't get me wrong, I would love to, but I don't know. August 9th though, we're running it. Maybe the second one will be our play. Can't wait for Thunderstorm Supercell. Me too! Brontoglow through the roof! Brontoglow through the roof! Absolutely. Have a good one. Thanks for the chill stream. Absolutely, KG. Thank you so much for stopping by and saying hello. Everyone, thank KG so much for making this game so enjoyable and so fun. I know we've done a lot of dooming today too, but I also want to rein it in a little bit and say that we're all here for a reason. We've all gathered here today to discuss, to maul, to love, to hate, to think, to enjoy this game as we are. And I think that there is a valid reason for people's feelings or complaints or for their issues with certain stuff. But at the same time, I think there's a lot to look forward to in terms of what this ban list, what the new products, and what the innovation for players will be. You know? Yeah, I would have loved to see counter earn hits. Yeah, I would love to see other balance changes, but that's where the cookie crumbles. And hop on Elestrals, we'll have to run it back and see. So Clash also gets into the early access in 8 days, so I'm hoping to see y'all there. And yeah, it'd be kind of cool to see how this ban list plays out there too. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. If it's late for you, get some sleep. If it's early, afternoon, night, wherever it is in the world that you guys are watching, I hope you have a great morning, afternoon, evening, etc. Enjoy the rest of your day, evening, night, blah, blah, blah. It's only 4 a.m. for you. Cobalt, you don't go to bed even 10 a.m. And this person's winning tournaments. Can't believe it. I absolutely can't believe it. But that means if you haven't eaten anything today, take care of yourself first and foremost. Eat something good. And I'll probably get some lunch and chill out for a little bit. It's gonna be sick. Again, looking forward to Clash, looking forward to live stream, and even the ban list. I'm curious. All right, goodbye, everyone. Have a good rest of your day. We'll see you later. Oh, bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Why isn't this? OBS, please. Okay, there we go.